back, guys. It's been over 3 months since I've uploaded a video, but it's all good because I'm back for now. Luckily, I have a class at a program called Music Media Technology. After going through a lecture and some work, I'm able to acquire some studio time, which gives me an opportunity to make YouTube videos in a studio. Not only do I not have a computer at home anymore, but I've also had a lot of terrible things happen to me in my life, especially in the past 3 months of not uploading. I'm still going through a lot of problems today, which is essentially what I'll be talking about in today's video. I figured this would be a good way to relieve some anxiety and stress, but before we get into the topics, please make sure to give this video a like, subscribe if you're new to my content, and without further ado, let's play 18 and 7 months. In my room, there's nothing to do, considering that I have a bed, a phone, and a dresser, and a bunch of trash laying around. It's been like that at home for the past 3 months. My mom took a bunch of shit from me and never gave it back for not paying her $500 for damages. I'll get into that later in the video. I'm starting to fall behind in school again, mainly because I don't have a feel-good environment or a computer at home, so I can't really catch up on everything once I start screwing up in school. There's not a lot of food at home. I usually eat what my mom cooks. Ever since the past few months, my mom hasn't had a lot of money to support everything, so things have been a little out of pocket. I'm tired. I'm always tired. I don't know why. I get about 8 hours of sleep almost every night, so maybe it's because of stress. I have an iPhone SE to watch YouTube videos on to keep me entertained at home. I usually take naps after that, to be honest. Sitting in my room is boring as shit, man. I become a legal adult in 208 days from when I recorded this. I don't know how long it's going to take for me to finish uploading this video, considering that everything I'm using is relatively new to me. Now, I'm kind of freaking out about this. Not because I'm excited or anything, but it's my 18th birthday and I have a lot of problems to worry about, like getting them solved before I turn 18. A reason I say that is because the relationship between me and my mom has been fucking terrible. So terrible that we've been through so many fights that don't even end up verbally but end up with police involved and things broken. So terrible that my stepdad is practically her dog and condones all of the bullshit that my mom puts up with, and even so terrible to the point that she actually wants to kick me out on my 18th birthday. I'm not even ready to leave my only home on my own, let alone finding a way to afford not being homeless for the rest of my life while trying to graduate from high school. But since I'm in the situation I can't really do anything to get rid of, my best bet is to get a job, look for a reliable roommate, save up for a fair share of an apartment or some shit, preferably somewhere out of the county I live in now, and just to keep my same together to where I can keep my job and payments on track. So about 3 months ago, I was hanging out with some friends. Some weird-ass drama was going on within the friend group, but that's the fucking usual. It was midnight. At the time, I was already looking for a place to stay for hours. My mom had kicked me out of the house because I threw my first mental breakdown in a fat minute. I don't remember what that was about, but it pissed my mom off to the point where I was out past curfew looking for a place to stay. Eventually, I got fed up, called my mom to ask if I could finally come back home, and believe it or not, she accepted my request. I came back home, and all of my shit was gone. All I had on me was my phone and my wallet. I went to confront her about my stuff being gone the next day, and she told me that I was grounded. She wouldn't tell me where any of my stuff was, but she told me she would give it back the next week. So I waited for double the amount of time just for her to send me off the whole time, and that shit was literally driving me crazy. So I had a trick up my sleeve and stole a couple beers from my stepdad's cooler. Yes, he's an alcoholic, he doesn't just drink beer. I chugged them both and sat on my phone because I had nothing better to do. I then asked my mom where my stuff was again, and it somehow turned into an argument. She then told me that I was acting childish and stuff, which started to piss me off a lot. It actually got to the point where I marched to the garage, grabbed a beer bottle in front of my stepdad, and whipped it on my mom's front windshield of her car. The smash was pretty loud. I'm sure the whole block heard it. After smashing her entire windshield, my stepdad tried to chase me, but immediately gave up because there were children outside. It was like 3 p.m. on a sunny afternoon. I knew he wasn't trying to set up a bad image as a father to the neighbors. My mom then came out to continue calling me names, saying that I'm a devilish rebel who doesn't care about authority and all that other shit. About 10 minutes later on my walk, about 3 police cars pull up to surround the block I was on. One of the officers came to me and asked what happened at home. I told him the truth. I got a conception under 21 charge, which is a misdemeanor. But luckily, the cop understood that I was going through a rough time and let me stay home with a court date instead of arresting me. But little did I know, I wouldn't even show up to that court date. And here's why. So, there was a time in August of 2019 where things went for a big turn for the worse. I had another really bad mental breakdown when my mom had lied about giving me my stuff back again and again over time, and this time, she told me that she wouldn't give me back my shit until I paid her the money for the damages I did to her windshield. Then, she bet I wouldn't do anything about it, along with calling me a good-for-nothing hobo who uses his friends for food and money, and that was my breaking point. I had a mental breakdown, started breaking a bunch of stuff in the house, and that's when my mom thought it'd be a great idea to grab a tall, shallow vase, whack it on my head, and try to beat me up. She then grabs me by my shirt, and by the way, it was me trying to get her off of me the whole time. My stepdad comes in thinking I was fighting her, which had him grab me off of my mom while she was still grasping onto my shirt, causing it to rip in half, punches me in my face about 5 times with my glasses on. My glasses are broken now thanks to that. After the fight somewhat calmed down, my mom rips out 2 braids out of her head, leaves somewhat of evidential marks on her face, calls the cops on me, and tells them that I ripped her hair out, along with punching her in the face several times and dragging her across the living room. I was in the middle of a breakdown when she was saying this, so I wasn't really using my cooperating skills to the fullest, which I shouldn't have done. Next thing you know, 2 police officers aggressively enter my room. One of them, who recognized me for talking to him at school about getting help with my situation, had told me my full name, my Miranda rights, placed me in cuffs, and brought me down to the juvenile detention center. They locked me in a cell for 24 hours, brought me to the courthouse where I had to wait 5 hours for a judge to be available, only to be sent back to jail for pleading guilty for consumption under 21 and damage to property in the 4th degree, both of which are misdemeanors, but not guilty for that domestic assault charge. Now, I'm gonna be honest. I drank a couple of beers out of boredom, I had a mental breakdown, and I started breaking stuff. I did not pull her hair out, I didn't punch her, and I didn't drag my mom around. The closest thing I did to hurting her was when I was trying to shove her off of me while she was punching me and ripping my shirt in half. After 2 more days of sitting in a cell and suffering from nicotine withdrawal, I figured the longer I tried to fight the case, the longer they would keep me in jail. I had already missed a day of work being in jails, and it hasn't even been a week since they hired me at Hardee's. The last thing I needed was to go back to being broke and fucking getting kicked out to starve to death on the streets again. So, they bring me to court again. I found out that the 2 misdemeanor charges were dropped. I then pleaded guilty for the gross misdemeanor charge, the domestic assault, and the judge made me apologize to my mom, face to face. She smiled right after. We left and came home as if nothing even happened. I guess it just goes to show on how manipulative my mom can be to other people just for them to control my life and make it worse due to not following her high standards. On August 8th, I was released with 6 months of probation, 30 hours of community service, which is now a $300 fine thanks to my poor decision making, and a letter of apology due on the 23rd of August. At that point, I felt that it's now completely pointless to get along with my mom because even if I do, all I have to do is fuck up once and she won't hesitate to continue ruining my life. About a couple of weeks later, I went to a probation session where I got drug tested and was told that I was going to have to go to probation sessions and submit a drug test every month for the duration of my probation. It sucks that I can't smoke weed to relieve any stress anymore. Times have been relatively more hard for me considering that the motivation to do a lot of things, even making YouTube videos with none to edit them with. Also, about a couple of weeks ago, my probation officer recommended me an internship job in counseling. I agreed to participate in both because it's something to do outside of the house and relieve more stress than I already am. The internship job is mainly to help me choose what I want to do for a living, which might actually be beneficial to me because I have no idea what I'm even doing next week, let alone the idea where I'm gonna live after I turn 18. The day after I got out of jail, I was FaceTiming one of my very good friends talking about that I needed help because I could not take the fact that I had to walk 45 minutes and back to work, sit at home, and deal with my parents' shit every day. So he hit up another friend of mine, and that friend was kind enough to give me one of his cars, under a condition though. He was going to loan me the car for $2,000. It's a Buick LeSabre. The interior is like pillows, there's leg room, the volume knob turns by itself, The dashboard lights display across from left to right, 4 ashtrays, all conveniently placed by each seat, and the space in the trunk can fit like 2 people. Me and that friend made a deal that I would give him $200 off of every paycheck, which I got bi-weekly from my job, and I would end up finishing off those car payments by Christmas. Of course, that had problems along the way because life just isn't ever gonna be perfect for me. I always got issues that'll fuck me over. A friend of mine got me about $10 worth of gas for my car one day, and the octane level for the gas he put in there was 91. That octane level was too high for my car, thus causing a bunch of shit to happen in my car. At first, one of my spark plugs blew out, causing one of the ignition coils to not work. I was driving on 4 cylinders instead of 6 for a little while. Then my connector rod got loose and bangs against something in the engine, and it's loud as shit too. The distributor is starting to go out, I have a coolant leak, and my water pump is fucked. And I'm literally stuck back on my feet to get around. I worked at Hardee's for 7 weeks. Ever since I lost that job, I was unable to pay what I owe. My friend who loaned me that car gave me 2 weeks to look for a new job. If I didn't, he would just stop paying for the insurance for the car rather than just taking the car away from me. Luckily, I was able to get a job. I actually work at Taco Bell now. They pay more than what I got on my last job, so that's a plus. Unfortunately, not only am I getting paid after my due date for my community service fund, but I'm not even getting paid enough to give them $300. So I'm gonna have to give them a call to see if they can extend my due date a couple weeks ahead. I'm hoping everything works out in the end because I really don't want my record to be tampered with, nor do I want to end up back in Lino when I got a lot of other shit to worry about. I also need to get back to making payments to the guy who loaned me my car because I still owe him about a good $1,400. With school, my grades aren't looking the best, which is a stressful thing to deal with now because I'm a senior and I'm supposed to be graduating in a few months. My plan for school is to try to go to regionals. I went there for summer school. I'm not gonna lie. As much as I hated having school in the summer, it was so much better than regular school. Instead of having to sit through lectures and take things instruction by instruction, they literally gave me a trimester's worth of work and worksheets. It's a lot of work, but I was able to just grind my way to completing the class. I'd rather do that than to deal with regular school and all the other obnoxious students who thinks it's chill to do whatever else. I also don't know if this is true, but I figured if I went to regionals and grinded my way through my senior year, because it usually takes 4 weeks to get through a trimester instead of 12, I would be able to graduate early. My plan from here on out is to keep my job at Taco Bell, pay my friend the $1,400 for my car, save up for an apartment, look for a trustworthy roommate to move out with me, because I don't really trust myself to deal with that kind of responsibility, all to myself at least, and move on from there. Hopefully everything works out when I'm 18, because it's really my life that I'm living. I need to make sure I don't become homeless again or anything like that. It sucks. Thank y'all for watching my video. I really appreciate your time. Give this video a like if you did. Subscribe to my channel if you're new to my content. And don't forget to click on the notification bell to be notified whenever I upload. Follow me on my social media. The links will be in the description below. Share this video to anyone that is almost 18 years old. And I'll see y'all at some point in the future. Wish me luck, guys. Peace out.